I know that a lot of people have challenges with sharing their feelings, and I can relate. Listen, I'm not even going to tell you that I can't relate, because the truth of the matter is that sharing your feelings can be a really scary thing. Let's just be real about it. And I had to sit back and think about, okay, why? Why is it a really scary thing? And so I came up with a few things that I wanted to share with you guys. And I think we need to get to it. You ready? Let's go. All right. My name is 𝘃𝗵𝗶𝘀, and I am your favorite empowerment coach, right? Right. So today we're going to be talking about being afraid to share our feelings. And I even have a couple of notes with me, right? So, hey, it's going to be a good one. So if you're coming in to the live, just say hello. I plan to repurpose this video, so it's not going to last here. It's going to sit here, and then it's going to be downloaded and pulled away. So if you have questions or comments, drop them, and I'll be sure to talk about them on the end. All right. So here's the first thing that I came up with. And the truth of the matter is that some people avoid intimacy because, and I mean emotional intimacy, because it's never been a norm for them. Maybe they grew up in a house where emotions, they weren't maybe told that they were loved, or people didn't hug them or tell them that they were proud. Maybe they had to take on roles that they weren't ready to take on at a very early age. This goes double for being the man or the woman of the house, because maybe a parent isn't present, or maybe because they're the oldest, or the good child. There's so many reasons why this happens. So, like I said, I wanted to share a couple of things because I understand the fear that you can have in sharing your feelings. But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? Maybe the fear is not in sharing the feelings. Maybe the fear is in not knowing if what we share is going to be weaponized against us, used against us, because that can happen too. How many times have you shared your feelings or emotions with someone and later found out that they were being used against you? That can be pretty daunting. It can be pretty painful. And especially if you trusted this person with your feelings, and this could be a romantic relationship, a platonic relationship, a familial relationship, any relationship, and you find that someone is using what you have shared in confidence against you, that's pretty heartbreaking. And what it can do is cause us to not want to do that anymore, because there's a fair amount of trauma that comes from being betrayed. And that is a betrayal of epidemic proportions. So the next thing, and I think this might be the scariest, especially in the romantic space, is that you're going to share your feelings, and those same feelings are unrequited. The person does not feel the same way. Maybe you want to take the relationship to a different level. Maybe you've been dating for, a few years and you want to get engaged. Or maybe you've been engaged for a few years and you want to finally get married, but that person may not feel the same way. I mean, of course, we can always dial it back to friends that want to be more than friends, and the friend doesn't feel the same way. I get it. That too can be pretty daunting. And sometimes it's hard to think about, now that the genie is out of the bottle, what's going to happen next. Like, how do we get our friendship back? Um, when I've already professed that I have love, and I want to care for you, and I want to maybe have a romantic relationship with you. How do we go back to being friends after that? I mean, it can happen. It really can. And then, of course, going back to what I said earlier around people who have been um, on the receiving end of emotional negligence, you know? And I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody else. When it comes to being a parent, and though I have no biological children, when it comes to being a parent, I will say this to you with all conviction and confidence. Everyone messes up their children. Everyone. As I often say, there are three outcomes: the stroll, the pole, or the couch. Shoot for the couch. Because listen, the parenting job is one that is almost impossible. you have this person or these persons that change every few years, and you're supposed to make time to get to know them in such a way that you can meet all of their expectations. It's impossible. It's impossible. Pole, stroll, or couch. Shoot for the couch. I had to get on the couch. Okay? Shoot for the couch. But I know some people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you said it. Yeah, I even told my mom, like, you did great. I landed on the couch. Bravo. If my father was still here, I'd tell him the same thing. You did great. I landed on the couch. Okay, great. So, but in that, when you've grown up in a house where emotions were, persona non grata, then that can cause you to feel that emotions could be your undoing, because unbeknownst to you, you're becoming a very emotional person. More than likely, you have empathic or intuitive gifts that go along with all of these emotions. And so you not only feel things for yourself deeply, but you feel things for other people deeply too. And in that, because there was no real lesson on emotional management from your childhood, you come into adulthood being a little, may I say that the term thrown off? And I think sometimes that when we have had that, when we get emotions, when we feel something we've never felt before from someone, we begin to put value on that. And then when those relationships systematically don't pan out, because they're not going to pan out, they're usually very codependent, extremely dysfunctional, and at the very least have a level of toxicity that wouldn't allow them to be sustainable. Now we're vilifying the emotions. Emotions will be our undoing. If I love this person, even though they have shown me that they are a stand-up person, that they care for me, that they are aligned with my goals, it will be my undoing. And the reason why it will be my undoing is because I don't know how to manage my emotions. So literally, I'm going to go from 0 to 10, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to love and do that in balance. I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to overdo. And I'm like, listen, if somebody really loves you and cares for you, they won't let you lose yourself in a relationship with them. They won't. They will not allow you to do that. They will love you. They will make sure that you activate and adhere to your boundaries. They will do all of that. The problem is when you get into relationships with people who are using your care for them, your love for them, against you. There are people in this world that because they know that you love them, they know that they now have control over you. And I'm like, listen, guys, if someone is seeking to control you, I just got to let you know, control is not a love language. It's not. But oftentimes when people have not been taught how to manage their emotions because they have them, but in childhood they were not allowed to express them openly, nor did they receive the emotional support that they needed, it's like blah, 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 blah. They're just completely crazy. They're just going nuts. Emotions everywhere. And I'm like, it takes time to recognize that, hey, I can love you and I can care about you and still love and care about myself at the level that I should. It takes time to do that. In fact, I was talking to someone one day and I said, the question is not, do I love you? The question is, can I love you and love myself simultaneously without taking a loss? And so what we're talking about is balance. Balance. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. And oftentimes when we look back over our relationships and we were all like emotional, oh my God, I never felt like this before. Yeah, that was cool. But relationships that are sustainable have a balance of intimacies. They have emotional intimacy and what we call spatial intimacy. We can be together and we can be apart. If somebody needs to know your every move and where you're going and what you're doing and who you're with and da 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 da, first of all, that is you are literally on the precipice of an abusive relationship. Narcissistically abusive, more than likely financially abusive if you allow them access to you, and emotionally abusive definitively. It may even become physically abusive if you don't comply. See, control and compliance are not love languages, But many times people are in relationships thinking that they have to put up with and endure that level of treatment because of how they feel. And I'm like, listen, not only do you have the right to share your feelings, but you have the right to share your feelings in safe space. You do. You really do. But in order for you to have that safe space, you have to evoke something that I talk about in my book, What is Kryptoniting, called protective intelligence. You have to evoke that. You have to learn that that is your birthright. You have to learn that you deserve and desire to be in safe space and that you normalize seeking that out. Because at the end of the day, if you're connecting with people that are using your feelings against you, if you're connecting with people who maybe don't share the same feelings, and that's okay too. That happens, right? That happens sometimes, and it doesn't have to be the end of the world. But if you're really sitting around believing that sharing your feelings is going to be your undoing, then that is where we need to start the healing process, because you have a right to feel how you feel. You have a right to love, to be excited, to be connected to people. You have all of these rights. And if you fear your emotions, then ultimately you are fearing and rejecting a part of yourself. And you know how I feel about self-rejection. know. You know. Absolutely. You know. So I say, in an effort to do all of that, right? In an effort to do all of that, make sure that you're taking the proper steps to really understand what it is that you're feeling and why you're feeling it. Take the steps to learn how to manage your emotional, what is the word I want to use? Emotional states. There we go. Your emotional states. Because also what you might find is that you're pushing away not only feelings towards other people, but anything that makes you uncomfortable. Any emotion that makes you uncomfortable, you're pushing it away. And I'm like, and when you push it away, you're rejecting yourself. You're pushing away fear. You're pushing away disappointment. You're pushing away sadness. You're trying to put everything into this box where everything is always good all the time. That is toxic positivity. And in the words of the Black Panther, we don't do that here. So that being said, the challenge is that you turn inward, understanding your emotional needs, the emotional support that you need, and learn how to manage your emotions. And then make sure that you're connected to people, okay? And that you're sharing with people that are holding space for you. All right? That's all I have to say about that, guys. Hopefully it was helpful. My name is 𝘃𝗵𝗶𝘀. I'm a speaker, author, teacher, coach, all of these things, here to remind you to always be your own superhero and to thank you guys for learning with me.